All right, so we're talking about a jacket in the boot. That sounds like an interesting story, if you ask me. A jacket in the boot. Not really sure what that's supposed to mean, but let's read and find out, shall we? My friend James moved here from England a year ago. One rainy day, his mother dropped him off at my house. He trudged in the door and took off his boots. Later, when we decided to go to the park, James couldn't find his rain jacket. Then he said, "Uh-oh, I think I left it in the boot." I looked at him, puzzled. Then I shrugged and picked up one of his boots to see if his jacket was stuffed inside. What do you suppose they're talking about, the boot? Do we know? I think I know. Let's keep reading. James burst out laughing. "Put that down, Dan," he said. "In England, we call the trunk of a car a boot. That's where I left my jacket." This is how I learned that two people can speak the same language and still not understand each other. But mistakes are an important part of learning. Now I know that some words are used differently in England, and James is teaching me even more. All right, so if we were to look at our plot roller coaster, who are the characters? We have James and Dan. Which Dan is from England. I think that's important to note, right? Or no, James is from England, right? James is from England, right? And you might say, put a star and say, just moved here, right? Okay. The setting, what's the setting? Sunny day, sunny evening, rainy day. Rainy day at whose house? At Dan's house, I think, right? Okay. What's the big problem? Girls, what's the big problem or issue? I'm looking at you, Shalike. What's the problem? Oh, tell each other what the problem is and then come back to me. All right, I'm hearing James left his jacket in his car. There's another one. Dan doesn't understand. Yeah, doesn't understand James. And I might put the word boot in parentheses because I know what that means, right? There's a totally different meaning for boot. Trunk, right? I want you guys to list what's the three most important uh events. I would say the beginning event was it was raining out, so James went over to Dan's house, right? Can we put that? Went to Dan's house. That's where the story starts, right? Went to Dan's. All right. Then what did James realize? James realized he didn't have his jacket, right? Have his jacket, right? All right. And then Dan couldn't understand what James meant by he left it in a boot, right? what James meant by boot. By I left it in my boot. Right? What's the climax? What do we finally figure out? Does he find his coat? Huh? No, but does Dan and James, do they ultimately realize where the coat is and what boot means? So I think the climax is where James explains to Dan, "Oh, silly, it's not actually in my boot, right? Boot means the trunk of a car in England, right?" Yeah. All right. So, how's the problem solved? What's the climax? And what's the lesson? I want you guys to finish that out, okay? Now, once you're done, I'm going to keep this rolling. Once you're done, I want you guys, with the plot roller coaster, I want you guys to jump on over into this slide right here, okay? And I want you guys to do all the work that's on this slide. It says to summarize the story, think about which details are important and which details are not. List important details in the chart below, then use them to write a summary that includes the story's theme. Settings, who's telling the story, important events, what's the theme, that's the lesson, right? And then you're going to write a summary right here. Now, here's the cool part. You should be able to easily fill this out because you're filling this out. This, your plot roller coaster, is going to help fill this out. And then you guys should all write a really good summary, okay? A detailed summary. Does everybody understand? All right. Good luck today.